Hey everyone, how's it going today? Thanks for being here as always. A little sweltering in my place right now, but that's cool. So today we're going to talk about using your pentatonic scale to derive some chords that give a really cool, big, open sound. I really like this sound, so let me do a little playing, and then we'll do a little talking. All right, there we go. Just going to mute my microphone and see if I remember to put it back on. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what I'm playing there. Everything sound good? Everything sounds like it sounds good. Okay, cool. Some of these ideas are coming from my pentatonic course that is available on sale for 20% off. You go to my website. It's Pentatonic Deep Dive. And what I want to talk about today is we're going to use an E minor pentatonic scale. We're going to use, so the notes are going to be E minor pentatonic, E, G, A, B, D, and E. So the idea here is that you can play the scale. When we think about a pentatonic scale, we're often thinking about these positions, right? But what I'm going to think about here is if I take one note at a time on each string, or one string at a time, I should say. So E minor pentatonic is going to be E, G, A, B, D, and E. I can do the same thing on the second string, which I would want to do anyway to practice. B, D, E, G, A, and B again. And so if I put those two together, let's just say in fourths, there's a third there. So there I have, a pentatonic scale. So let's hear that. Just that, those two dyads, two notes together. So. Right? right? So we can do that. So what I'm doing there, like I said, just playing those two notes as they kind of lay on the fingerboard. It's kind of easy when you see it that way. B, E, D, and G. Just moving up from one note of the scale to the next note of the scale on the same string. So let's just stick to those two strings. So I have a B and an E. How about I go D and E? And I can move that idea up diatonically or within the pentatonic scale. So the D moves to the E moves to the G. And I keep going. This E moves to the G, and the G moves to the A. G moves to A moves to B. A moves to B, and that B moves to the D. I can resolve that. So I'd get this sound. Let's hear how that sounds. Pretty hip. Track going. Okay, now, how about I mix those two ideas together? Blues licks, right? Okay, so now the mode of thinking, because this is really what I want you to get across to you, is how I'm thinking about this stuff. So now, how about I do, what combo of those four notes can I do? Well, I did this, I did that. Next thing I can do, well, I did that, right? Same kind of thing for me across the two strings. How about this, the B to the G? So you get these fifths. Six there. Like Hendrix right there, right? So I'm going to mix those ideas together. Right? So I'm expanding that idea from these two strings. Well, how about I throw in a third string, the G string? There's my E minor pentatonic scale up and down the G string. G, A, B, D, E, G. So I'm looking at everything at one string at a time, and that really, really, really helps me envision how to plan out these chords, or even just shapes, right? All these chords could have names to them, sure, of course. Some of them are just triads, some of them are sus sounds, but some of them are sus's. I just look at them as pentatonic scale sounds. So I have this G, so I'm going to play that G string, right? Right? Now I can mix it together. Minor chord, G triads, and E minor 7. It's kind of noodling around, obviously. A little. Right? So I'm coming up with all these kind of cool different voicings and ideas that I can use to expand upon using the pentatonic scale. It doesn't sound bluesy, right? It's not like I'm playing blues licks. It's a whole different sound. So anytime you have a minor chord, you can use some of these ideas, or a minor 7 chord, whether I'm in E minor or A minor, depending, I just have to change my key. So what I can also start to do is connect, I can do spread voicings. I kind of make the ideas a little larger. So let's say I did that on the D string, right? But I'm going to say this is a good one. I did that in the intro. I'm going to play D, Hendrix. I stole this from Hendrix, you know. That move. So I have a D, there's my A, and there's my E. And each note's going to go down to the next note in the chord. So we have all the same thing on the same strings, right? Sorry. It's a great sound, right? The key. I got that one right. Cool, right? Get some F sharps in there, but right. So I hit a few scale notes in there by accident, but it sounds cool because I could do the same for any key. If I did an E minor, E Dorian, I could just run the same notes up and down. So the idea here is I'm just taking the pentatonic scale. I'm going to randomly, if you'd like, pick any group of strings and then move each note up to the next note in the chord. There's a bunch of them that you can come up with, and instead of just kind of here, this is how you do them, I just figured them out. I just started messing around and came up with some stuff that I thought sounded really good. E, G, like this one I did here. This one, well, I'll show you this one. So I have E, B, and G. So it's the 4th string, 2nd string, and high string. Like I said, that's a really Hendrixy thing. But that's staying within the key. So I've found a ton of use for this, especially in anything kind of moody. This sounds obviously moody. Fusion-y stuff, it sounds killer, which this kind of vibe is. And you just want to be careful with it. Obviously, I was not playing with the band. I'm just running this stuff to show you the sounds of it. But I'm going to play a little more, let's say less. A little more less. Okay. Track starting. I know it is. A little more or less. Love this voicing, this 4th one you get. Classic jazz voice. A little univibe on there. Now I'm going to mix it with some, pentatonic fills. guys get the idea, I hope. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. I mean, it took a lot of time and effort to put that together, but that's the way I'm envisioning it. And this is the way I envision, hopefully, all my scales at this point, that I see everything up and down one string at a time, so you can start to create these different sounds. And you'll hear where they resolve, right? If you have your ear, like, well, what chord is that? How's that working? If I hear, you know, that one resolves beautifully because it's got a lot of the chord tones of E minor if I'm playing it over an E minor vamp, but like that wants to pull back, or this, you know, that's a G major triad right there. They want to pull back to certain sounds. So use your ears and rely upon that. Like, this sounds great, but it's not resolved, so where do I want to go? I want to move it down and move it up to the next fingering, usually pretty good. Okay, that's kind of the long and short of it. I go into much greater detail on this on my Pentatonic deep dive course, available at TrueFire. They do my live 20, get 20% off the course. For all you guys know, it's if you really like the stuff that you see here in the channel, it's a great way to support me. I know many of you guys are return people. If you haven't picked it up, I really appreciate it. You know, it's how I make my living. So that would be great if you guys are interested. So any questions, let's talk about it. But once again, one string at a time. Start to see how the guitar works that way. Play 2 strings at a time. Then you could add 3 strings or 4 strings, and you start to open up these ideas. And so eventually, and that's how this course, the Pentatonic Lockdown, Pentatonic Deep Dive, which actually started through some of the things we were doing live together on the Lockdown, when it first started about a year or so ago. I don't know, Phil, when did we start doing this? Seeing everything in one string at a time has really changed the way I envision the guitar. All right, cool. So you guys have any questions? Let me know. All right, so let me jump on here. So thanks to everyone who is here, as always. Got a lot of people here today. A few little announcements. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably go to bi-weekly with these live feeds. And let me explain why. For everybody who's been here and so cool and comes here every week, I super appreciate it. And what we've built here together is amazing, and I have no intention of not doing it. I want to do some more of the shorter videos that I've done, like the Eric Clapton video I just did the other day, released on Friday. And I think the way YouTube works and all this, I don't have the time. Okay, when I do this, I kind of think about it all day. I can't do much else because I want to deliver something good, and it takes a lot of time. So also I could be doing other videos and getting more stuff to you guys on a steady basis, the shorter stuff. But I'm still will be doing this for sure, because I love doing it. It's a ton of fun. But broken heart. So that's it. I'm just going to try it out. I may go through withdrawal and really want to come back and do it every week. We'll see. I'm just going to give it a shot for every other week right now and see how it pans out, and try to deliver a video a week, like the Eric Clapton video I just did last Friday, which has done extremely well. This is great. So is this backing track from my course? Yeah, this track is on the Pentatonic Deep Dive course. Yes, it's in there. And actually this kind of idea. Yeah, sorry. That's in there. That particular phrase is in there. So thank you for picking it up. Somebody just picked it up, so thank you. All right, guys. So let me think of some questions. Let me get down here if anybody's got questions. Say hi to everybody. The general roll call here. Jason Carter, of course, how you doing? Phil Jones, Angus Clark, personal friend of mine. Kevin Kazmai, right? Richard and Sarah, Black Hat Music, Benjamin 177 Lucky, Brazil Bush Rocks, Matt Gibson. Hey, Matt, what's going on, man? I owe you a lesson. I do. Jeff of Size. Yes. Hey, Michael Cope. All right. Everybody. Okay, yeah, Bridge of Size, man. I was a huge Trower fan growing up. So I was a big Trower fan before I was a Hendrix fan, interestingly. So I would say I am more influenced by Robin Trower long-term, sonically, maybe than Hendrix. So, because when I hear this sound, I'm always hearing Trower in my head, or Machine Gun by I was gonna say Zeppelin, by Hendrix. So yeah. And you guys dug the Eric Clapton video. Awesome, I appreciate it. That was fun. And I love that early period Eric Clapton. So that was that Lonely Years period. So that's really good. That's my favorite stuff. And it's funny, I was trying to work through that video. It's a piece that he did that's like so near and dear to my heart, and I've learned so much from that piece of music. When I was playing it, I'm like, am I doing it justice? Listen to how he plays it, and how old was he? Then I started to realize, you start to have that feeling of, well, first of all, it was 1966. They were playing out every night. They were in a room, like, you know, it was a different experience than me sitting in front of a camera, right? You know, filming me playing a version of his thing. So it's funny how your mind works and you're like, oh, this isn't perfect. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not him, and it's not 1966 and all that. So it's just an interesting thing. People ask, how was this sound in a major concept? Well, it would sound great. You know, in the course I talk about it. I don't know if I have a track. Yeah, hold on. I think I got a track. Hold on one sec, guys. I'm going to kind of use it as major. So I'm going to use it in G major, which would be the same thing. Here we go. This is from the course as well. This is G track, right? So look at that. The resolution is going to be different. Right? So it's kind of it's a cool sound as well. You will probably find that the minor sound just is easier, because there's less sort of, I don't say the wrong notes, you know, because there's some less wrong notes. Phil seems like he's disappeared. Maybe he lost. He's having some internet issues. Frank Marino's great, for sure. I've been people talking about Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. Really, really great. That live record is super awesome. Okay. You guys are the Pentatonic Deep Diver. Really, really appreciate it. I'm really happy with that course, as kind of hopefully happy with all my courses, but that one I think particularly is how I think about playing. So even as a soloist, right, if I start to go up and down that scale, or those ideas as a soloist, and this is sort of that stuff we talk about in the course. Let me get that track back, guys. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so even as like a lead playing, right, mixed in with that. Right? So it really works well that way too. All right, so you can really expand on that as a lead player. So am I playing chords? Am I playing solo? It's a bit of both put together. All right. Any Bill Nelson fans? I'm not really familiar. Hey, Graham Ross is here. What's up, Graham? How you doing? Evening, Graham. Okay, so also what's going on here? Let me just get some more questions. Okay, so all right. Sorry, guys, I was looking here. I think Phil must have gotten knocked offline. He's not pushing up the question, so I'm on my own. Seems like. Okay, very Eric Johnson as well, for sure. You know, and when you hear, there's a lot of guys who do this, and it's very common in jazz, a lot of the modal stuff, say like McCoy Tyner playing piano with John Coltrane, all those kind of sounds. So these pentatonic sounds don't necessarily have to sound like blues, right? They can sound open and moody or almost like modal in a way, right? You know, and then they're really fun to play around if you just, like I'm doing right there, you know, just put on a cool sound. Right? Just kind of mess around, and you have that low E string, you can let it ring. And I can put them together any way I want. I can play, like I said, 2 strings together, separate them by a string, 6 that are in the pentatonic scale. They're not always 6, but that's a cool sound, right? Okay, so you can really kind of pad that out and expand upon the idea. All right, let's see what else we got. When will Jeff come to Italy? Maybe with Robin. Well, I've had 2 trips to Italy canceled, unfortunately, due to COVID, 2 touring things. I'm supposed to be in the Czech Republic in March for a bunch of gigs, maybe close to a month. So that should be fun. Italy, I will try to get to Italy at the end of that, if that's possible. You know, who knows what's going on, but the COVID lockdown canceled 2 Umbria Blues festivals and a bunch of adjacent gigs that I was supposed to do around there. So there you go, unfortunately. And so Richard, we've been doing this a year and a half. That's crazy, right? It has been a year and a half. Roy Lisbon, yeah, short videos should help your rankings. And that's a big part of this, you know, like with the YouTube stuff. And as much as I enjoy doing this, they technically don't, I need time to put the more short videos because it will help build a channel. The longer streams don't build a channel as well. So with a limited amount of time, I get kind of stuck, you know. Okay. I'm looking for more questions. All right, down the bottom. Any plans to play in Germany? Maybe, if anybody can get me over there. It all comes down to gigs that I can pay that make it affordable to do that. While I'm in the Czech Republic, I do hope to get to a few places while I'm there. If I can add a few other things on or if we expand out. So I will definitely let all you guys know. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because it really comes down to money, right? I mean, people will book you, but how do you get over there? And you got to pay for hotels. You got to pay the guys in the band. I don't have a big name, you know, in terms of that kind of stuff. So the way that you could do that, and you know, people say this to like my friends who, like Matt Schofield, like, oh, you should come to this place and do this gig, and he says the same as I do. Well, let them know you want me. Tell them we want to see Jeff McErlain perform, and we'll come to the show. So that's a big part of it too. But it really comes out to it comes down to finances, like everything, right? Going out there would be fun, but at my age, I can't afford to go out for literally no money. You know, you go on the road, and then after you cover all your expenses, you come home and you're like, yeah, I can't do that. So it would be fun. I would love to do that, but it's difficult. I can do videos on alternate weeks. That's sort of the plan right now. is doing videos on the alternate C, sees what happens. Can you suggest some reference songs or musicians that use the ideas that you showed tonight? This is from Gianpaolo Minardi. I probably just mispronounced your name. Yeah, well, Eric Johnson, that was brought up, especially, you hear these kind of chord things. You know, when he does those great intros, and I can't say I'm not influenced a lot by Eric Johnson. I think anybody, certainly rock player of my age, is kind of have been influenced by Eric Johnson. So with this, you know, just listen to some Eric Johnson, especially live records. He does a lot of these things before he starts off a tune. The Cliffs of Dover, so the intro has some of this stuff. Hendrix to a certain extent. You definitely hear John McLaughlin do some of this stuff with Miles. More, I would say, more jazzy guys, more fusiony guys will have usually a little bit of a better handle on this, just simply because it's stylistically more in the genre, right? So if you're playing something super heavy and you're doing this, it may have a lot of rub, and the part of the sound of it that's really nice is the rub. So if you have some open sort of sound, you have the freedom to get these sounds, right? But if someone's doing, you know, some of those things are going to be really obscured. So, Bill, 1941, you're a truly gifted artist. Thank you very much. No, you're not just wannabes. Listen, okay, for you guys, Bill, 1949 said you are a truly gifted artist, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. We're just wannabes, and thank you for sharing your insights. Let's talk about all that, and I think it's always really important to me. I just was lucky enough to find guitar at a very early age, and it just clicked with me. I knew immediately. I knew I wanted to play guitar before I actually played guitar, right? So, okay, John Mayer, that's hysterical. All right, thank you, Michael Cope. I'll explain that in a minute. I just got into it really early. I just knew that I wanted to play guitar right off the bat, and it was, I think it was seeing those pictures of David Gilmour when I was younger, that just really stuck with me. And Queen, you know, Brian May, and then Randy Rhoads and all these things. And I just became obsessed with the instrument when I had the opportunity to, you know, like living in my mom's basement, you know, as a teenager in high school, having that free time. Didn't play sports, didn't really dig it. I just threw myself into the instrument. And then, so my point is, it was a progression it was the only thing I could do. And I guess there's other things. The only thing I didn't want to do anything else. So, so when people say this, I always say to them, you know, at your job, I don't know if, you know, if you love your work, but I would be completely lost at anything else. Completely, you know, unless explained to me, or to be able to do something at the level that I play guitar would take a whole lifetime. So I'm just trying to get at that, you know, it was a convergence of things. It's like huge bands too, like, you know, how did the Beatles come about? I'm not comparing myself to the Beatles, but, you know, they were just the right guys at the right time, and all these things came together. So for me, I found guitar at the right time in my life, committed to it. I had a great love for it. I don't think I'm not trying to sound at all patronizing or self-effacing, I don't think I'm exceptionally talented at the instrument. I know I worked really hard at it, if that makes sense. I'm not saying I don't have talent in the instrument. I'm saying that the stuff that I do and I feel like I'm good at came from working my ass off and figuring out what it is that I was good at, and kind of shying away from the things that I wasn't necessarily so good at. Now, I work on things I'm not so good at in the genre that I want to play in. So in other words, if I wanted to start working on becoming a bebop guitar player, circa 19, you know, like Wes Montgomery, that's the kind of a 180 guitar-wise. So that's going to be a lot of hard work. And my point is, I don't love that music enough to make it my thing. I love listening to it, but for me to go through and learn standards, it's just not where my heart's at. So coming to those conclusions fairly early, and, you know, support of my family, all those things. So I just like to talk to the people about that because there's no, you know, it's my job and I'm fortunate to do it, but it's all those things. If that makes sense. Okay. What did you study? This is from Brazil Bushrocks. Jeff, what do you study now to move yourself forward and find fresh ideas? Oh, that's a great question. Jazz, lately. Let me show you something fun. I'm going to jump off camera for half a second. The amp's not set up for it, but I knocked my mic out here. Hold on one sec, guys. I just picked this up for $275 used. So it was fun. And the reason why I wanted a jazz guitar was I just wanted to experiment with that sound. So it's been a lot of fun for me, you know. As you know, it's not dialed in for that, but. Please ignore my jazz playing at the moment. Right? So, and plus it's a little overdriven right now, not the right sound. But so I will listen to, I'll figure out some jazz stuff, but not in the sense of maybe becoming a bebop guitar player. It's more about wanting to expand my vocabulary and make those things that I work on my own. And although I am known primarily as a blues guitar player for my instructional things, I'm more of a bluesy rock fusion guy, for lack of a better word. So fusion-y guy. Jeff Beck was still my favorite, and you know, of modern guys, Michael Landau, just tons of the bands like that. Scott Henderson, Mike Stern, all those fusion guys, which were real big when I was in college, but also still big in my life in that sense. So this, yeah, it's just an art core, Ibanez art core. It was used. I bought it at the House of Guitars in Rochester, New York, and it was $275 used, and it's like the best $275 I've spent in like ever. It's great. I'm not even gonna. People are like, "Oh, you're gonna upgrade the pickups," and I'm like, "No, just why would I? I don't want to do that. I'm gonna throw a set of like throwbacks in a guitar like this, you know." But like I said, it's not really even in tune. I didn't expect to pull it out, so let me just put this down because I'm just gonna sound like crap on it because it's not. The amp's not set for it, and it's not in tune. So yeah, it's great, especially for the money. I mean, I think it's just great in general, but the money was really shocking how good it was. So what do I want to play? All right, hold on. You guys have seen this one. Let me plug this one. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the Ibanez Jazz Guitar, Ibanez Casinos, all these things are really great. I mean, the amount of how good they are for the money is really, really crazy. And yeah, the art cores are a really great value. I was totally blown away. I had first tried it at NAMM, which that the National Association of Music Merchants, was they actually just changed it. That's going to happen in June this year as opposed to January. It's usually in January every year, so they went to California at Anaheim. So they're moving it to June because of the whole COVID stuff. So if you can go 1 year, if that's possible, it's a ton of fun. It's crazy. They moved it. So I tried the art cores at NAMM, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And then when I was upstate on a little vacation, I saw that and tried it, and it was inexpensive. The best part was the store tried to charge me full price, and I was like, well, how come? So okay, I know they're that price, $400, but how much are they used? He's like, well, I'm like, well, because this one's used, and they're kind of changed their price immediately. It was really funny. They're like, oh, no, I don't know. I'm like, well, you know, there's no tags on it. It's got a few scratches on it. The hardware is cloudy. I'm like, come on. And they're like, and its price dropped immediately. So pretty funny, you know. Anyway, okay, that's my little guitar story. How do these chords translate and sound through your Les Paul? They sound great. You know, the chords are just the chords. You know, there's going to be a sound, whether I'm playing it on the Les Paul, which I assume is somewhat in tune. I just don't want to put too much gain on some of the chords, because yeah, right. So they work each way. Doesn't matter. And of course, you can throw in chord tones. But you'll definitely hear if you're out of tune, right? You'll definitely hear that. Okay. Have you had a go on Larry Carlton's signature guitar? No, I haven't. I haven't tried Larry Carlton guitar. I'm sure it's great. Gibson's doing that, right? I don't know how expensive that one is, because Gibsons get, as we all know, pretty pricey, as I play a pricey Gibson, yeah. Okay. Saw Schenker play Rock Bottom with UFO, 11th row Santa Monica, still have my ticket. Oh, man. With UFO? When? I saw Schenker with UFO on that last record in that tour they did together, and Angus Clark and I went together and we saw him at the Limelight in Manhattan. So that was fun. Okay. How do you decide on what to work on next? With so many things, this is from Martin Diehouse. I'm glad you're appreciating the stream, and thanks for being here. Hit the like button and all that kind of stuff. It would be great. With so many things to put in practice can be overwhelming. So what do you choose to focus on? That is a really spectacularly good question. There's so much stuff to work on, and there's so many things, there's so many outlets, right? There's guys like me on YouTube, there's TrueFire, there's everything. I'd say the most important thing to work on is something that wait, hold on. It always comes down to fundamentals for me. And my friend Rick Beato did an interview with Pat Metheny. I definitely suggest you guys check that out on his page. Metheny still comes down to just talking about fundamentals, triads, getting your time together. And those are the fundamental building blocks of everything. So if you feel really solid in those, and I always feel like I need to run over those more, everything improves. So you really want to know the fingerboard as best as you possibly can. And that always changes, and that always, thank God, improves over time. But I'm always going to make sure I try to know the guitar really, really well. And then I'm always humbled by the instrument, by something that I can't do, or something that you think you knew better than you did, until you're on the situation where you have to pull it out of your back pocket and then you fall on your face. And so I like those moments because I find them to be inspiring in the sense of, all right, well, a few things could happen. If I mess up, say, while I'm performing, it's because I messed up. There's simply that, like I just had a technical glitch in your playing, which usually comes down to you're not practicing enough. Second would be I didn't know what I was doing, which is usually, at this point, fortunately, kind of rare. Like if I'm playing, I hopefully will know what I'm going for, and if I don't make it, it's usually just a mistake, like I messed up. Things I work on the most at this point is trying to connect ideas better. So if I put on jam tracks, and sometimes at the top of these things when I listen back to these jams, I'm a bit meandering because they go on really long. It's important that you keep in mind that when you're playing with a jam track, that the jam track is not an interactive situation with the band. So you're jamming along with this thing for 5 minutes. So maybe you limit the amount of time, and then you just try to make a complete conscious statement as a soloist or as a rhythm guitar player. Work on connecting ideas. Think smaller than bigger. For instance, if I have a triad, right? So here's what I would think about. All right, so I have this E jam, an E minor, and I just want to think of, let's just play E minor triads. Slow. minor triad, E, G, B. I'm just playing E minor triad. Maybe E minor 7 with a D in there. So I would never play that because that's not real musical, but in the context of stuff, say like, right? I'm just thinking E minor triad to the whole thing. So see how fundamental that can be, and it sounds really cool. So when you start getting a little more broken, you get more of these ideas together in your head. And let's say if I want to think about B minor triad, and how does that sound over E? You know, what am I doing? E minor, B minor. Right, so those are just two poorly played triads. B minor triad and E minor triad. So when I get to the fundamental thing, if you get these smaller things down, they start to expand into much larger things. The mistake I made for many years, and I think the mistake a lot of students do, is they try to go for the big stuff right away. But if you look at an E minor triad, that sounds pretty cool. So you think E minor pentatonic has an E minor triad. If you start thinking of those E minor triads, you can start putting things together. And then, okay, a little bit of help from a teacher or something, you say, I can use B minor triad. Let's hear how that sounds. And so it's just these B minor shapes, and I can put the two together. And then suddenly things start to expand, and you're not like, here's the E Dorian scale, you want to work on this and solo over it and then play, and then you're just playing a bunch of scale nonsense. That was a long answer, but you see what I'm saying, hopefully what I'm getting at. So when I work on things like that, so E minor to B minor is freaking simple intellectually, but to incorporate that into your playing and be musical about it, and then you have to realize, well, I have to really know where E minor is across the fingerboard, I have to know where B minor is across the fingerboard. It's pretty cool. So suddenly, this simple idea has taken on a whole life. And then when you analyze someone like Larry Carlton, you realize, and Robin Ford, you know, people that pleasure, like, I know Robin real well, and he does this stuff all the time. Larry Carlton does this stuff all the time. And to me, it was all this stuff for my ear, like, wow, that's a really cool sound. And then I'm thinking, that's just a B minor triad over E? So, you see what I'm getting at. So it comes down to the fundamentals, knowing my triads really well, knowing my arpeggios, knowing how I can use them in different situations. That to me is much more important than knowing all these different scales. They're all derived from scales, but I don't think that way anymore. Okay, hopefully that was a good answer. All right, so that's how I choose to focus on. I find a little thing and I work the crap out of it, like the crap out of it. So I feel like I can pull it out of my pocket and use it when I need it. All right, so Jeff Kaler, that's awesome. I love what you said about working hard on things that don't come naturally, and being attentive to the things that you do that you don't necessarily gravitate to. Yeah. Now, one thing, let me be clear. I work on things that don't come naturally within the framework of stuff that I want to work on. So, or that I can do with reality. Like I love Alan Haldsworth. I have some friends who can play along those lines. If you want to check out this guy, Ben Younson, I had him on my program about a year ago. Great guitar player. He can do, I'm not saying he sounds like Alan Haldsworth, but he's got this crazy facility in harmonic stuff. And I was like, man, I wish I could do that. And a good friend of mine said, well, if you really, really wanted to do that, you would have worked on it, right? But you don't, that's not what you focus in on. So as I hear more things that bend my ear, I try to see what I can do to make it my own. All right. Okay, I think Phil's keep on getting bumped off the internet. All right, so I'm going to read through these ones, guys. Hold on. Is it possible, in your opinion, this is from Ricardo, to use pentatonic scales like in a general frame in which then adding a note of another scale is remote? Okay, yeah, let me make that. I think of almost everything as a pentatonic scale, and then I add in the extra notes that I need to cover a certain mode or a certain sound. Yeah, because for me as a guitar player, home base is always the pentatonic scale. So I have a course out, pump those courses, called Solo Explorer, and I talk just exactly about that in rock chord progressions that you're familiar with, lots of classic rock things that actually have some little key changes and stuff. And we think about a parent scale, E minor, and what we need to change or add, what we need to add to an E minor pentatonic scale to cover the sounds that cover the chord changes. That's how I definitely look at rock sort of modal soloing, is always pentatonic because it always sounds good, always like home bass. And then I add in the notes that I want to create a modal sound or to outline the chords that, or use notes that are not in the pentatonic scale to get that sound. Okay, cool. Oh man, thanks. This is from Jeffrey Reed. I have every course, and I've learned so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Never saw a UFO with Schenker. So jealous. Well, it wasn't back in the day. It was the second time around. Joel Duggar, what's up, man? How you doing? Now, this is Bill. I have no. This is from Bill 1949. I have done and really appreciate the quality of this content. I appreciate that. You're not a shill for me. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the stuff. Okay. Sorry, like I said, Phil seems to have gotten bumped offline. So. All right. Sorry, guys. Oh, Zita's here. Zita Martine, what's going on? She was caught in, her house was hit with those floods in Germany horribly. That was terrible. So I'm glad to see you're doing well. And New York got hit with these terrible floods. We were fortunately, where I am in Brooklyn, did not have any issues because we're really at one of the higher points in Brooklyn. But some of my friends lost, a friend of mine had a basement apartment, she lost everything. And certainly people lost their lives and things. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it here in New York. Was it, if I remember right, it was like 9 inches of rain in 2 hours, something like that. I mean, it's insane. It was crazy. I'm not, compared to what happened in Germany or even down south, Corey Congealer, always pentatonic, my new course. You heard it here first. Are you pimping your stuff on my feed? Holy crap, dude. Oh, Corey. You guys know that Corey's one of my very dear friends, so that's hysterical. He's doing a pentatonic course. You know what he did? He watched mine. Then he's going to see, figured out what not to do, because we always bust on each other. All right, yeah, you guys obviously always check out Corey's stuff. He's awesome. Good friend, and certainly, I think, one of the finest guitar players out there. So thanks for stopping in, Corey, even if you did pimp your own stuff. Everybody check out Corey's channel, too, if you're not. I think most of you guys know me. Go over to check out Corey as well. Doing some great stuff. All right, so, yeah, man, we've been on for an hour, and I think Phil has probably given up. And he's stealing my titles. Well, just for you guys, this is some fun YouTuber background. We always kind of, you don't, it's so hard not to steal somebody else's ideas or think that you steal their ideas. Like Tim Pierce, who's a friend of mine, such a great guy. I did the Clapton thing, and he called me up and he's like, hey, I've been planning a Clapton thing, and here's the thumbnail. I don't know when to put out. Now I don't want to put it out because I want you to think I was stealing something you did. And I'm like, no, of course. So it's very funny because there's a lot of stuff. Everybody's wanted to do a thing on pentatonic scales. We have all our own take on it. So it's funny how when we speak to each other, that I'm like, are you doing? I'm doing this, or you don't want to let anybody else know what you're doing, not because you think, of course, Corey and I will cover a lot of the same material. It is funny because if I give him an idea and you're like, I had that idea too, and then you're like, I had that idea too. And you're like, no, you didn't. So it's a funny world. There's only so much you can do. But Jeff and Corey collaboration would be amazing. Yeah, we talk all the time. It would be fun to get to do something with Corey. And you saw me on David Hamburger's stuff too. Yeah, David Hamburger is one of my really great old friend. I've been friends with David since I moved to New York City. David actually introduced me to TrueFire going on 15 years ago. So David's a great guy. Great David Hamburger, Fretboard Confidential. If you don't know that, fingerstyle blues, he's absolutely amazing. So yeah. A jam, you'd put in Josh Smith and Greg Koch. I've never played with Greg. I have played with Josh a few times. We played together in Italy. I think there's probably some video of that floating around somewhere. Corey and I, there's only a little video of he and I floating around playing a little thing together that we did. He invited me when he was at NAMM to sit in and jam with him, which was always not an ideal situation, but it was fun. All right, everyone, I really appreciate you being here. Like I said, next week, I'm starting to do this bi-weekly, just for all the reasons I had mentioned earlier. So thanks everyone who's coming here weekly. I think as everything starts to open up, I need the time to get some of the other videos done, and courses and things I need to build up, like my subscription channel and things. So I'm just going to back off this for a little while every other week. Still do it. It'll still be fun. And if you could hit the like button, I appreciate that. And if any of you who are here, if you go over to the Eric Clapton video, if you're not on my mailing list, if you just click on that, it'll put you to, you get the tab for the Clapton transcription, the Clapton tune. If you haven't done that, just please go over there. You get the transcription for free, and I will get your email, and I'll let you know also about starting a mailing list and all these things like that, and a newsletter. And just hope you guys would love to stay in touch with what's going on and hear more nonsense from me. All right, guys, so thanks for checking in. Of course, all my courses and most of the stuff I discussed at the beginning of the feed is from my Pentatonic deep dive over at TrueFire. And if you enter live 20 at the link in the description, you get 20% off actually all of my TrueFire courses. So if Corey's still here, this is a great way to support the work we do. Certainly like and hit the like button and subscribe and all that. But check out our courses with TrueFire. I have my course with Brett Papa, and this is a great way for us to continue doing this. All right, everyone, really appreciate it. Hope everybody is doing well, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.